Good day and a warm welcome to the virtual stage of the World CIO 200 Europe Edition. I'm Sajda Khan, your host for today's remarkable journey into the heart of IT leadership. Just as we've successfully explored insights and breakthroughs across different regions, today's event promises a captivating exploration of the evolving landscape in Europe. We'll once again tap into the wisdom of industry experts to navigate through the currents of innovation. But before we embark on this insightful voyage, let's gather some inspiration from the co founder and CEO of GEC Media Group, Ronak Samantare.
Hi everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the delegates who have tuned in for the CIO 200 Roadshow 2023. Today we are in Europe. My name is Ronak Samantrak, co-founder and CEO of GC Media Group. CIO 200 Roadshow has always been special, and this year, after touring Middle East, Africa, Southeast Asia, we are now in Europe, and it gives us a great chance so that the CIO community can actually do the cross-border knowledge transfer. And we have seen that in Europe, there are great minds, and it gives a great opportunity and a great platform for all the C-suites to now network with each other. CIO 200 is never possible without our sponsors. So thank you, sponsors, for supporting us, for trusting us, and always pushing us to go to the next level. CI 200 this year is touring 50 plus countries, and after that, it will be having the grand finale. Like last year, we did in Thailand, in Bangkok. So this year, we're doing in Baku, which is in September 17th, 18th, and 19th. So please lock your dates because the chosen winners will be invited there. Okay. So I'm sure most of you know about CAS. That's a new product that we launched last year in the grand finale in Bangkok. And CAS is a CIO service which has gone really, really viral, especially in the end user community, where we talk about the CIO, the CISOs, and all that stuff. But the main plus point of CAS as it has brought the community closer. And when I say community closer, so where now they have a platform where they can share their pain points, what they're facing, and that is a counterpart, the same peers in some other country, or it might be in the same country who can resolve them and advise them. So I urge each one of you, please do join CAS, register yourself before it's too late. Okay, and I congratulate all the winners. Really well done, and hope to see few of you in our grand finale, which will be in September. So thank you once again, and you guys have a great day today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronak, and thank you to all for joining us. The stage is set, the excitement is palpable, and the knowledge sharing awaits. Let's dive in and uncover the cutting edge IT dynamics shaping Europe's digital future. First up, we have the opening keynote by Andrew Rains, Royal Papworth Hospital NHS Foundation Trust, CIO.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name's Andrew Rains. I'm the Chief Information Officer at Royal Papworth Hospital, based in Cambridge, on the Cambridge Biomedical Campus. And it's a real opportunity to speak at this wonderful opportunity on the World CIO 200 Summit. It's great to be here. And just in terms of a quick introduction to myself, I always feel having the opportunity to speak at a wonderful conference like this, to talk a little bit in terms of an introduction. So I'm an Executive Chief Information Officer at Royal Papworth. So I'm on the Hospital Trust Board, and my background is of over 20 years, having worked at in the NHS, in London acute hospitals, in local authorities. I've worked across the prison estate and in the private sector as well. I'm a British Computer Society Fellow, and I'm also a leading practitioner in the Federation of informatics professionals and a certified health chief information officer. And last year I was really pleased as I made the CIO UK 100. So that's a bit about me. You can see there, if you look at the internet, I've been a bit of confusion about my mistaken identity with a bodybuilder here, also known as Stumpy, but by my namesake. But I'm wondering whether he goes around saying whether he's been confused with the CIO. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? So that's a bit about me. But it's a great honour to be here. And my goodness, haven't we seen in recent years changes and adaptations in technology across the globe? And we sometimes refer that as the Industrial Revolution 4.0, don't we? But we've kind of seen some amazing developments and innovations. And I think that's driven a lot by sometimes the challenges that we're in and the expectations that we need to provide and continually adapt to provide services in a more efficient, economical way, but which is providing benefits to consumers and services. And here's just an example of some of those things. And almost commercializing space travel, we've seen the adaptation of the global market space literally go online through the pandemic with organizations such as Boohoo. And then we see the innovations of Tesla and their new space truck to patients at specialist organizations having some really fantastic treatments. And Royal Papworth is one of those. We're a specialist heart and lung cardiothoracic centre. But here's a gentleman on this slide who's had a 3D eye transplant, and I think it's incredible the levels of technology we can go to today to improve care. So it really is a fantastic technological revolution that we're involved with. And Royal Papworth Hospital, as a heart and lung research institute in Cambridge, we're also finding there we're having to innovate, we're having to do things differently. And this is our wonderful campus in Cambridge, and the Queen, Her Majesty, came to open the hospital in July in 2019. There's a illustration there. They're doing that with our chairman. So as a UK leading heart and lung hospital, we see over 50,000 patients each year, having completed the first successful heart transplant in 1979. We had our 100th or our centenary anniversary in 2018. We've had several films made about the hospital, including 2018, called it The Surgeons at the Edge of Life, which was really exciting. 98% of our patients say they would recommend us to friends and family, and we're now in this new state-of-the-art hospital. So we set a record in the UK for a record 5 transplants in 36 hours, and we're rated outstanding by the CQC, the Care Quality Commission, and that's an organisation that monitors us, monitors our how well led we are, the safety, how responsive, effective, and caring we are as an organisation. And just this year, we've began our first surgery with a robot, which is helping augment our human and physical team, which is really exciting. And we're also a global brand, so we have referrals from across the country and across the world. At Royal Papworth, we have many visions and goals. We want to ensure that tomorrow's treatments are available for today's patients. But around that, we mean to do that by offering staff our huge asset, a really positive experience, deliver clinical excellence, grow our pathways with our partners, continuously research, share and educate, and be sustainable as well. And our values that we share with our staff are around compassion, excellence, and collaboration. So one of the many missions that the NHS has in England is to achieve high standards of technology, and we've got a framework called what good looks like, which is a number of success measures that we try to achieve to make sure that we have the right platforms in place to support our patients and services. And those are including, again, around our leadership, ensuring that we've got some really good foundations in place, that we're practicing safely, we're supporting our people, empowering citizens, improving care and treating populations as well. So innovation in bounds, and I think it's really exciting privilege and honour to say at Papworth as one of UK's first thoracic centres to use a robot to augment care. We have a product called Versius. We've managed to do 22 procedures. We've, interestingly, the robot's been welcomed as part of that team. It's quite an interesting story about how we ensured the communication meant that robot became an integral part of the team in a non-threatening way. That we've got outstanding outcomes, like we've done 22 procedures already, and we're starting to see patients go home earlier than if they would have had a usual surgical procedure. And that's been a UK first for our thoracics team, which has been really exciting. And we're delighted. You can see the robots there. We've also worked at our sustainability agenda. I mentioned that as one of our visions and values. And I think this is something increasingly we're all trying to do, which is manage ensuring that we're inclusive of all of our patients, and being mindful that not everybody has access to digital technology and tools. So what we've tried to do is make sure, while being going green and producing less paperwork and reducing our carbon footprint, still being able to give those people that do need access to paper letters that they can do, informing them their appointments. We've done a piece of work around trying to put our patient letters online, and some of the benefits of that are really telling. So we're avoiding producing mountains of paperwork and making savings in time and printing. And we've got a fantastic forecast ahead, including sending over 50,000 outpatient letters digitally, saving over 1 million grams of carbon emissions, and reducing working day, and making sure we're increasing our working days savings as well through automating communication. So a really exciting opportunity there for going green with digital letters. We've also moved our EPR into the cloud, our electronic patient record. This is the AWS we use to improve access, agility, mobility, availability, and security and resilience of our electronic patient record. And that's with Daedalus, and Daedalus provide our EPR, and using AWS in the cloud means that we've got access from home, anywhere, anytime, access to our patient records on a need-to-know basis, meaning we've got greater versatility and access. So that's been a real success. And we've seen a real improved performance in access to data and systems in terms of the uptime and keystrokes and less crashing on that system. So that's been a really useful and sustainable move going forward. We come to some really basic imagination as well, whereby if you can imagine a world where you can track person, process, place, we've introduced an initiative in the NHS which has been around for a few years, called Scan for Safety, and that uses a standard to be able to have complete traceability in your hospital from stock coming into your hospital and the way that's transmitted around the hospital, whether we trace a patient using a wristband with a barcode to the drugs that are administered, to our lab results that go between our systems using interoperability standards, to reducing things like wastage of equipment or wastage on important aspects like blood. And we've got evidence that says by using standards that we've improved our interoperability. So we've improved the way we've connected our computer systems. We've also reduced our wastage of things like blood from within 5% to less than 1% through using standards. And we use behind that this global standard called GS1, which is a barcode standard, enables us to track and trace all of those things. And that's really important because in a world where we need to be more considerate about sustainability in terms of safety and efficiency, then we can trace all of those products. We can trace what treatments our patients have had through such things as real-time lab resulting, through avoiding or reducing significantly drug errors, being more efficient in ward audits, to tracking equipment and traceable implantable devices, for example. And all of that, which also helps give us a standard for the way we care for our patients based on this barcode standard. So it's a really great infrastructure project that links these components together. So everything we hang off the estate, we try to make sure is consistent with that as a standard. I guess it would be remiss not to mention the growing concern that we have and ongoing challenges that we face, each of us, in terms of keeping ahead of the threat that is cyber terrorism. And we've all heard the phrases, it's not but when, and we hope for the best but plan for the worst. And in health, we've seen in recent instances cyber attacks which can cause huge disruption to the way we run our services, taking out computer systems, and therefore actually we're becoming so reliant on those computer systems, how that then affects our services and subsequently patient care. So there's that really important basis of making sure whatever you can do to try and ensure the security, resilience and business continuity of your systems to ensure your patients and our services are at the center of what we do. But if you combine that, it does sometimes create a challenging picture, doesn't it? Because if you imagine all of those digital components, those advances, those innovations, if you put them together, they can often create some sense of stress and strain. We want to act in a rapid way that drives innovation and technology. But actually over the last 3-4 years, we've actually seen the impact if you've got so many initiatives that when you're trying to bolster that with the anxiety and stress that's been created within a pandemic or the staff sickness and the pressures of the quantity of things to do and constant reframing of priorities, then it can become a very stressful place to work, and we have to find out ways of managing that. And so what we need to do is therefore look at value creation and having a way of managing that as a process. I referred to that often as ambidexterity, and as a CIO, and for many CIOs, I'm guessing that they each have a way which they're going to have to cope and prioritize work when you've got a fast-paced environment, there are new and emerging technologies, there's operational pressures, while achieving a constant state of moving forward. So that is really an important aspect of, I think, the jobbing CIO, which is to be able to deal with what's in front of one, but while looking at what's coming down the track and be able to manage those. So you have to consider, how do you manage stakeholders who've got high expectations without presenting surprises? how do you work within a world where you've got multiple key partners and all of that while maintaining the day job and business as usual, and the health and happiness of your team, which are clearly a core asset. And if you talk to some consultancies, there's one here, Gartner referred to this as their hype cycle. You've got also that test of new initiatives, emerging initiatives, which I sometimes refer to as that latest red balloon that goes by and distracts everybody and goes, oh, we should be doing that, we should be doing that. And meanwhile, there's 15 or 20 other things that go by the wayside to this latest initiative. And I think the Gartner hype cycle speaks really well to the kind of peak of inflated expectations and then having this kind of trough of disillusionment and a plateau of productivity. And I think this is really important where you have those kind of conversations about what's really important, what's delivering value, and what are those things, therefore, that are priorities for your organization to make it sustainable, to make it more agile and move it forward technologically as well. And I think you do that by having something like this, a digital and data strategy that helps formalize your approach and what you've got ahead of you in the next 5 to 10 years. And I think the challenge with technology changing is the fact that probably in 5, 10 years' time, those things might have moved on. But it's important to have an approach where it's purposeful and meaningful, and you have aims and you have objectives which you go after, and you have to have some sort of steadfast approach which is going after those things without always being disruptive, but having a review process to check, are those things still valid, relevant to today, and purposeful in meeting your overall organizational aims and objectives. So your digital and data strategy, and it's quite intentional that it's digital and data together, because I think one or the other divided separately can start to unpick the components of an integrated solution whereby your digital solutions are producing data. So I think there's a real intentional purpose to having those combined. And I think in supporting that, your staff are a key asset, aren't they? We sometimes consider how easy is it to get qualified staff in technology, in the IT profession, with the latest skills and qualifications. So you have to think of ways of valuing and developing your teams. And one way we've done that is by looking at professionalism in informatics. And in England, we have a number of initiatives that help support that. They have meaning and value. And one of my roles as the CIO is to encourage professionalism in my department. And I do that by encouraging membership with institutions such as the British Computer Society. There's the Federation of Informatics Professionals that we try to align people to in terms of taking that journey and self-directed learning in terms of their own personal and professional development. And then there's things like the CIO, which I'm a proud member of, and I wear my badge with pride in terms of being a qualified healthcare CIO. And then there's the NHS Digital Academy, which is helping develop future leaders within health IT. So there is really lots to consider, but I think in terms of, if I was to sum that up and give a sense of perhaps one last thought, because there is so much to do, how do you condense that into something meaningful? And I think those things are about getting the basics right, looking after your staff, being kind, ensuring that you have a process for managing the digital and data discussion. Perhaps you have a board meeting that talks about digital transformation and cybersecurity, and that coalesces around those initiatives. And that becomes perhaps a forum for introduction of priorities and innovations, so that ambidexterity I spoke of, you can make sense of, and you can start to plan things in a way which is systematic, and that your organization and your staff can realistically cope with that disruption and change that's happening in the organization. We talk about that a lot, don't we? Disruption. but it does need managing in a way, because I think sometimes staff can be changed out in a way that is stressful, and they need to be able to have a mechanism for coping with that as well. So if there's 3 points I'd like to make: get the basics right, that's cybersecurity, making sure you've got qualified staff, attracting the right staff, having initiatives which really value them, having a process for managing that digital discussion, and a way of introducing those priorities and innovation which really underpin your organisation vision and values. One way we've done that is to introduce a new app, which is called Laudit. We did this in partnership with AWS, but this is very simply a way of just saying thank you to staff using an app. A few presses of some buttons in this app, you can send a thank you to a member of staff, and it copies in their line manager. It's a really nice and very easy way, very simple, but great innovation from one of our consultants. It's been really well received here at Royal Papworth Hospital. So I think I'll leave it there, but thank you ever so much for taking the time to listen to me and staying with us. I think it's a really exciting forum that you've got. And I think we've all got a story to tell, haven't we, about our work life and career. And mine has been a great privilege, despite some very humble beginnings. But I'm sure as you spend time together at this global CIO forum, I hope perhaps this story has helped inspire but to learn more about the progress others have made, and hope we can all reflect on the impact of transformation. And some fantastic tech, including capabilities of generative AI and the likes that we haven't necessarily touched on. But above all, for the National Health Service, the NHS, and its workforce, for me, it will continue. The success will continue to be about people, our staff and our patients, and how we support, how we lead, how we develop and retain them for a sustainable future, supported by good, affordable, standards-based innovation technologies, and which are supported by people and professionalism. So I know you will consider the impact at present, and that on what increasingly might appear perhaps a polycrisian world, where we do have crises, we do have natural disasters, we do have disease, we do have strike action, all of these things. But actually, how important is it to recognise people's efforts, our digital leaders, their teams and their responses, and to thank them, even when the technology doesn't work, perhaps as it's hoped. So for me, and often being an executive and Gold Commander at Royal Papworth Hospital, one of the most powerful things I think I can do is to accept a heart transplant or a double lung. And it really reminds me actually of my responsibilities and why I work in the NHS for our patients and citizens. However, in order to provide the high quality world-class care, it's of critical importance the value that we place on healthcare. Our partners, our local authorities, in particular the staff and the innovation they bring, without whom we would not have an NHS, which I'm delighted to be part of, and which, as we know, it's reached its 75th birthday this year. So I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the forum. Thank you.
Next up, we have a message from Venkatesh Mahadevan, the founding member of CAS.
My dear friends, greetings from the US of A. It gives me great pleasure to speak to all of you, and I hope all of you can see me. So this is Venki Mahadevan, and I am here to talk to you about CAS. If some of you are still wondering what CAS is, CAS stands for CIO as a Service, of which we all are an integral part. When I say we, I don't mean me and they. I mean we, you and me, all of us in this room and outside of it, in the different regions. If you recollect, about a year back, or was it October, we launched CAS at the exotic location in Bangkok, when all of us had so much fun and we went on stage and spoke about CAS. We had some great feedback. We launched a platform, and as we speak today, the platform is ready to enroll all of us. So if we talk about CAS, and if you ask me what does CAS do, CAS is a technology revolutionary platform that has been formed with the purpose of delivering technology-enabled solutions at a better price, great quality by the subject matter experts themselves. Who are the subject matter experts? You and me, my dear friends. Yes, it's you and me. These are CIOs, or we are CIOs who have spent our life 10, 15, 20 years working for large corporations and have implemented excellent solutions. So it's time for us now to take out our ammunition, use the same for delivering effective solutions to our clients. I'm so excited to talk to you about CAS because when we started, we were in so many minds and saying, will this work? Will this not work? So many of you in the room had questions about what do we do next? How does it go forward from here? And as we stand here today, I am very, very delighted to let you know that CAS has moved on, and we have not only done some good work in the UAE, but we are also doing some great work with some of you in Egypt. We just formed an office in Saudi Arabia of CAS. You're right. CAS Saudi Arabia was launched a fortnight ago, and thanks to my friend Meheneshi and the others who supported us. So it's been a great journey. We are now looking at doing some work in Qatar. We are looking at talking to some partners in India. And I am right now in the US, and we're speaking to somebody who will bring CAS to the US very soon. So there you go. We are already talking of 3 continents, 5 different countries, and some really exciting work that's on the forerun. So please join me and support this platform. Let's all get together and make sure that we actually make CAS happen. It is good for you, it is good for me, it is good for the community. The idea is to build an ecosystem that can take us to the next level. It is no longer about you as an individual, it's about all of us. We are talking to some great partners who have shown interest. They've already told us, let us know and we will be on board. So I am, like other friends of mine, a very proud member of CAS, and I will continue to be. Let's take CAS to the next level and make it one of the most revolutionary platforms that the world has ever seen. So welcome to CAS, and here we go. Fasten your seatbelts and let's have fun, my dear friends. See you soon when we meet next time. Bye-bye.
Now we have Sriram Ganesan, Associate Director EMEA, Kisflow Inc., for a keynote address on ERP orchestration with the power of low code and no.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sriram and I'm Associate Director, Solution Consulting at Kisflow for Europe, Middle East, and Africa regions. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about process orchestration, which is a topic that is very close to my heart and has also evolved over a period of time as I've interacted with a lot of CIOs across the regions in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And today, I would particularly be talking about process orchestration and how do you handle that with the help of a low-code, no-code platform, right? So let's jump straight into it. I'm looking at the enterprise ecosystem today, and these are things that you would find often within your own organizations, right? First of all, there are plenty of different applications. There's an ERP, there's a CRM. You have a number of different point solutions to manage various different aspects within your ecosystem. If you, depending on which industry you belong to, you may have other industry-specific core applications. Like if you're in banking, you would have core banking applications. If you're in manufacturing, you would have manufacturing execution systems, so on and so forth, right? So any enterprise today is going to have a number of different applications in its ecosystem. And what that leads to is a lot of integration complexity, right? The moment you have more applications, it means that you will have to integrate all of these applications together to make sure the data flow is seamless. And that typically leads to a complex situation where you tend to integrate the more important and prioritize the one integrations that are more important to your organization, but maybe leave out the others that take a backseat in terms of priority because everyone is occupied, IT is occupied, business is occupied. There is no time to completely integrate all of these, right? And that kind of leads to poor end user experience because from a business point of view, it is not fully integrated. So it's partially integrated, which means they still have to manually re-enter data a few times. They are looking at various different systems to perform their tasks. So, for example, if I am a manager to approve quotations, I'm looking at one system to review orders. I'm looking at another system to review invoices. I'm looking at another system. So it leads to not so good experience for your end users, right? Your business users. And that kind of pushes the whole cycle into a lower adoption spectrum, because once the users are not comfortable, they're going to go back to using manual systems, emails, exchanging Excel sheets, Google spreadsheets, and so on, right? And that kind of pushes our IT leaders and digital transformation leaders in the organization to look at what can we do to improve the situation, and maybe look at getting some other applications to resolve these problems. So this kind of ends in an endless vicious cycle where you have more applications, and that kind of leads to integration complexity, poor experience for users, and then lower adoption that in terms leads to plenty of applications again. In order for us to kind of get over this as a problem, we predominantly have to look at two major areas to resolve, right? So one is how can we effectively create these different processes that keep coming up within our ecosystem, because all of these processes may not necessarily fit into the different systems that we have, right? So there may be several processes that may fall within the purview of finance, but may not be part of the ERP, right? Similarly, there may be several other processes within the purview of customer relationship, but may not be catered to within your existing CRM, right? So the first challenge to be addressed is how do you easily manage all these new processes that keep cropping up every day, right? And if you try to manage these processes within your standard applications, then that becomes extremely time consuming. And by the time you automate these processes on your standard applications, the processes would have changed, or the process that you built in these standard applications are probably not relevant anymore. And also what happens many times is that when we look at automating these existing manual processes, we look at stopgap solutions like RPA. And what that does is that we look at, let's say, reducing manual activities at some point, but the end-to-end optimization of processes kind of falls through, because you don't know whether the exercise that RPA did, whether the items that came to the bot came within SLA, did the entire process follow the SLAs, follow the different practices that we put in place from a business point of view. We do not really know whether all of those different aspects were met, right? And that is exactly why process automation becomes extremely complicated when it comes to the entire process orchestration paradigm. The second major challenge is the orchestration of the workflow itself from different processes, right? So what happens when you try to orchestrate all of your different processes with a backbone of an ERP is that the ERP finds it very difficult to orchestrate these workflows, because the ERP is a very good transactional system, but it's not really meant to kind of handle processes or orchestrate processes between these different items, right? And the other solution that sometimes organizations try to adopt is to see if we can have a low-code platform to do this. But if you pick a platform that again needs a lot of coding, that again needs you to have developers, and maybe takes 4 or 5 months to develop these applications or processes, then the entire advantage is lost, because you could typically do that on the ERP itself. It may take 1 or 2 months more, but then there's no real advantage of doing this on top of like a very heavily code requiring platform, right? And that's exactly the two paradigms of the process orchestration problem, which is, first of all, you need the ability to create these processes very easily. And then you need an easy way to orchestrate these processes and push and pull data from different systems and the platform where the processes have been automated, right? So, and effectively, that's exactly what we at KISSFlow are trying to resolve with our process orchestration layer, right? Because we aren't looking at only one of these two issues, which is either process automation or orchestration, whereas we're looking at putting these two things together in one platform, right? So what does that really mean? So what that really means is that, first of all, within the platform, we identify what are the type of processes that need to be automated, right? So is it a predictive process? Is it a reactive or proactive process, right? So each of these process types may have a different way of different trigger points, different end actions, different way to orchestrate, right? So the first step is to identify the type of process. And the second is to be able to streamline all of these processes on the platform and put in place all the exception handling with an agile layer. And what I mean by agile layer is to be able to create these processes in a very easy, simple drag and drop kind of way, and also allow business stakeholders to be able to modify these processes or change the approval workflows as and when they want, in a very easy fashion, right? And third is for us to be able to choose where we want to keep these processes, right? So we may decide at the end of the day that certain processes will remain in the ERP, certain processes will remain in the CRM, and then there are several other processes that will need to be automated on a platform like KISSFlow, right? So as a platform, we want to allow every organization to have this choice of doing what they want wherever they want, right? So we don't impose on you to say that these are the standard templates or applications that we have, and you're supposed to do all of this here, otherwise it doesn't work, right? No, you can do whatever you want on top of the respective systems that you have, and then kind of build all of the other ecosystem that you want to build in terms of automation on top of KISSFlow, right? And the last, but one of the most important aspects of process or workflow automation and orchestration is to be able to simplify the integrations, right? So the KISSFlow platform also comes with an inbuilt, fully drag and drop kind of an approach for creating integrations for both API-based or scheduler-based or webhook-based, and that you can simply create with absolutely no code required, right? Now, what that enables you to do is to create as many integrations as you want to all of the different systems with at most ease. And that's the other major problem for orchestration, right? Because orchestration requires you to perform a lot of integrations. And that's typically where organizations also face the challenge in terms of enabling a fully well-oiled, well-integrated application ecosystem. So this is a key factor within the way that we handle orchestration within the platform. So what does this orchestration layer look like? And what are some of those key factors that we should keep in mind, right? First of all, the ERP or the CRM or any other master data that you may have will still remain the single source of truth. So we don't replace any of those systems. We're trying to navigate processes, push and pull data across these systems to provide end users with a very easy way to complete their work, easy to use with both web, mobile based UIs, tablets, mobiles, any device that the users would like to use, they can use to complete their tasks. And it also enables a very easy way to create processes and create integrations, and enables an easy way to scale, which means you can, once you've put on a platform, you can simply start adding more processes, more integrations to kind of expand the orchestration layer and have this change management process within the organization streamlined and take it slow, right? So you don't have to do all of it at one shot. And last but not the least, definitely, is the number of pre-built connectors and templates that the platform provides, which means you can use the pre-built connectors to connect with, let's say, the ERPs or the CRMs that you have, or let's say the work platforms that you have, and also leverage all the existing pre-built templates to quickly enable processes and to quickly enable integrations and go live very easily and very quickly, right? So that's the core of the orchestration layer. Now, KissFlow, if I want to take a minute to talk about what we do as a platform, we are a fully SaaS-based platform, and we have customers in over 160 countries as we speak, 10,000 plus customers and over 1 million active users right now. And we have several, enterprise customers, several Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 customers that are part of our customer base. And you can see that the list is spreads across regions, industries, and verticals. And that's typically because the ease with which the platform can kind of adapt to any kind of applications and processes that you want to build on top of it, right? If I talk about Europe, there are some really well-known names in this region that are using KissFlow for a number of different core applications for process orchestration and for citizen development, right? So these are some of our well-known customers in Europe, and the list is expanding as we know, right? Now, I'd like to specifically touch upon one case study or one of our well-known customers, McDermott. Again, McDermott operates on KissFlow in over 25 different countries, 10,000 plus users, and they've automated over 450 plus processes on KissFlow. And many of those processes are integration touch points with SAP, PeopleSoft, Office 365 for work-related aspects. And many of these have triggers and actions, right? So it's a full-fledged orchestration kind of a paradigm that is running on top of KissFlow. And effectively, this is not being created, mind you, within, let's say, 3 months or 4 months, but this is being created over a period of time, right? And that's the beauty of the platform, because it allows you to scale as you would like to expand on it, right? So if you look at the timelines, from 2016 to 2019 to 2020, they were able to expand to over 200 plus processes, and now there are over 450 processes. So expansion and scaling on KissFlow is never going to be a challenge, be it in terms of number of users or in terms of use cases or in terms of integrations, right? And most of this expansion has happened within internally by the customer, right? So they haven't really used any partners, or they haven't really come back to us every time that they wanted to build an integration or build a process, right? After the initial implementation and onboarding and training and handover, all of this expansion has been carried out by them completely within, right? So they've all done this through using their internal teams only, and that's a big success of the platform, because one of the key aspects that we'd like to see in our customers is to become independent, to become self-sufficient in terms of their automation or digital transformation journeys. So that's pretty much what I wanted to speak to you today. If you are interested in workflow automation or any other low-code, no-code related applications, BPM or process building, please reach out to us. Our contacts would be available with the GEC, our sponsors in this event, and please reach out to us. Have a great day, and thank you so much.
Next, let's hear from Enrico Maria Sestari, the Chief Technology Officer for Jointly to Welfare.
Hi, everyone, and thanks to Global CIO Forum for inviting me. So what's in it for you today? I will give you some actionable insights taken from my current experience at my company, which is in a scaling phase and investing a lot on technology side in order to enable digitalization of processes and also effective creation of new offerings. So just a few words about myself. I always define myself at the intersection of tech and business. I started with a standard tech background, like with informatics engineering degree and working experience at IBM. but I also felt that the tech world was becoming incredibly complex, and that in order to understand it properly, I also need to develop my business acumen. So for that reason, I steer my professional path towards consulting and management, working in BCG and Casavo, and I am currently CTO at Jointly. From an academic perspective, I decided to attend both an MBA and an executive program in digital transformation. And aside from my daily activities, I love to divulgate and try my best also to contribute to the tech community in terms of sharing culture, experiences, and also give back. Few words also about Jointly to give you more comprehensions about who we are and what we do, so that you can also understand better the actions that we decided to implement from a tech standpoint. Jointly is an Italian welfare and well-being company, born in 2014, and we are currently focusing on the Italian market, primarily because this business requires very deep local knowledge from a fiscal and regulation standpoint. What we do is to promote engagement and wellness through an integrated offering. And what does it mean? Well, we are a B2B2C company because our customers are, of course, companies, but our end users are those companies' employees. So what we try to do is always improving their well-being and ensuring to give the companies the right tools to actually serve them the best possible way. In the first years of its existence, Jointly quickly created a very strong network of partners, both customers and merchants, and it became an important reality in the Italian welfare market, leading the founders to the decision to scale and become the leader in the welfare and well-being market in Italy. The main drivers are two. First of all, a very unique and strong human value proposition, because we believe the human touch and listening is something that cannot be completely replaced. And the second point is definitely technology, because we are investing considerably in boosting our digital assets. I started working as a CTO to identify the areas that actually needed improvement from a tech perspective. And here I want to be clear, when I talk about tech perspective, I never mean pure and only technology. I strongly advocate that technology is primarily a human factor. Now, if you do not change the organization and the way people work, then you can't expect deep results from technology. It's not technology at all. So I assume a lot of other companies at a similar stage can relate with the situation I'm describing now. So I think it could be useful to actually tell you about the issues, but also challenges we are facing with. It's a good starting point, I believe, for a transformation. Like all the issues started from the lack of a good tech culture in place. Namely, agile, DevOps, product culture. In the Jointly of the past, there wasn't a product team, and there was just a very reactive IT department, but no proactive approach towards new product development. So, IT support, tickets, and requests from the business, but no proactive approach leading the business towards a really tech company. There was a siloed tech skills, like the lack of cross-functional approach was quite clear. Basically, all the technological skills were centralized in the IT team, including everything from building software to repair damaged laptops, which are, of course, different kind of skill sets. Also, other departments heavily relied on IT support for all tasks, with poor spreading of knowledge and digital savviness. And these two main aspects led to tech and product debt, because the 2 points above in the end resulted in a lot of code base and functionalities were unknown and not maintained properly. Even actual utilization of the functionalities wasn't properly monitored or mapped. Data architecture wasn't thought in depth, like basically residing in the database structure with no actual intertwining with other third-party tools and actual business flows. Digital education wasn't promoted across the company, with the result of people not using the tools they have in the best possible way or understanding the why. The point here is actually teaching people how they can do better with technology, not just giving them tools. So basically, we identified two major dimensions to lead in this transformation. And here I would suggest you a very good framework, which is from Jean Rose from MIT. I highly suggest you to take a look at that framework. The first point is to digitalize. This is about the existing processes, and this is what companies have been doing for years, if you think about that. The goal here is to create an operational backbone that actually allows people to work by leveraging technologies the proper way. So you have processes, you can automate processes, and you can reduce the time and the effort people have to spend on these processes in their daily job. In this context, again, a lot of effort must be dedicated to education. And I believe we have a paradox in the tech industry. Like we hire the best possible software engineers, data scientists, cloud engineers, and so on. But then sometimes people in other departments that are not in tech departments struggle with using what we would call usual tools, basic tools like Microsoft Office rather than Zoom for video calls and so on. And this is something we should avoid. We do it by actually working with an education purpose in mind. So not just solving problems that people ask for. It's an important part, but not enough, but also teaching them how to avoid to have that problem again. The second point is being digital. And I really like to stress the difference between just digitalize and being digital. Being digital is not something that relates only on automating processes. This is about being able to leverage current and future technologies in a combined way so that we can actually propose new digital value proposition to a market which is not static at all. It is changing continuously while we develop things. So basically we have a tech market which is evolving, new technologies that are coming, and even a welfare and well-being market which is changing and evolving. Being able to remain digital, to be digital, it's an organization goal. It's not just a technology goal. An IT department on its own could never do that. It's just a piece of the puzzle. So just to give you some actual insights about these two dimensions and what we are doing in practical terms, let's start from digitalize. We are building an operational backbone of the company, and I want to be clear, it's still a work in progress. These are things we have already done to a certain extent, but still we are working to keep on doing them and improving them as well. First of all, the IT department needed to be reorganized. I felt there was a clear need to divide the competencies and responsibilities between product engineering team and an IT management and governance team. This was also in the best interest of the internal colleagues from other departments who didn't know who to ask when it came to a broken laptop rather than a brilliant idea for our product to propose to our customers. From a pure IT perspective, we generally relied on external third parties, which for me wasn't an optimal solution. So we hired internal people in order to provide better support and governance. Why? Because I believe that IT shouldn't be just operative maintenance. It is important that its way of working is really aligned to the company vision and culture. And this way we can also aspire to have an IT that is actually the digital evangelist I was talking before and not just an executor. The other thing we're working is organizational silos. My approach is to try my best to break silos as much as possible. This is by promoting a cross-functional approach whenever we spot that multiple and different skill sets are needed to reach a common outcome. And also we are standardizing the way of sharing knowledge and the tool we use, because at the beginning, I think that each department had developed like their own way of doing things. And for example, I remember when I joined, basically some use Google Chat and others use Slack for communicating. I mean, this looks like very small things in the end, but this is dysfunctional because there is no common way of understanding technologies and using technology, and tools have an impact on how people work together. This is also quite typical when there are silos, like everyone using different approaches and tools. Another thing that happened from civilization was the fact that everyone was using their own separated storing space for data. Like some used Google Drive for company documents. We had an internal NAS, so on-premise NAS, and some use that internal NAS for other documents. But at the same time, our product runs on AWS, and our customers' data is stored according to GDPR on AWS cloud. So I felt that data was scattered in too many places. And what I want to emphasize here is that it wasn't just about consolidating technologies in a hidden way, like IT department is consolidating technologies and changing the way we are storing data. I mean, as tech people, sometimes I believe that we assume that other people aren't interested in how we organize data. And to a certain extent, it's also true. I mean, no one wants to know about S3 buckets rather than database, rather than Google Drive. As long as things work, people are usually happy. But I really believe that we also need to explain the why. We have to be clear, even if not going into all the technical details, at least we have to make people understand what we are doing and why. And the last point, the linked processes point, is the basis for the automation. Like if we want to automate processes, we first of all have to map them. This is a work in progress. We are doing a great job of actually mapping all the processes, the business processes that were built in all of these years of history, of Gentile history. And this is allowing us to identify critical processes first and also decide how to prioritize the actions. Because sometimes it's not only to automate the processes, it's also to make them more efficient in the first place. Then we move to the being digital part, and this is our biggest challenge, of course. Here it is all about having very clear vision of what to do from different perspectives and strongly also reshape the organization to achieve it. Here again, I want to be clear once again, you do not get it without changing your organization, and this can be painful. I mean, it is painful. Especially for historical teams that were used to work in a certain way and they have to change a bit their way of working in order to be digital in jointly. So for me, being digital, as I mentioned, is having an organization that is capable of creating digital value propositions. But what is being digital in jointly, in the specific jointly context? It's about enabling the organization to build digital products. Because in the end, our business, in order to scale, needs a strong digital product. So how can we build this organization? I identified the following dimensions. And first of all, again, it's product culture. Like we really have to interiorize what it means to build a digital product and be able to find the best way to express this culture in our specific context. I always try to explain the difference between a project and a product, so between project management and product management. And it is hard, mainly because as humans, we have resistances towards something we do not know deeply, or maybe we haven't done in the past. Lean startup approaches, and here I would strongly suggest the Lean Startup book, of course. But although we are not an early stage startup anymore, we still need a fresh mindset open to experimentation, validated learning, trial and error. Customer knowledge basically comes from two main sources: alignment of the product teams with the end users, and alignment of the product team with other internal teams with deep contact with customers. So basically customer service and sales. When we think about agile philosophy, and I'm not talking about methodologies like Scrum, I'm actually talking about the overall agile philosophy, is almost direct step after spreading good product culture and lean startup approaches. I mean, it usually starts from the engineering team, and after all, Agile Manifesto was created by engineers, but it's important that the whole company understand agile philosophy. And then software engineering, of course, here is all about the way of actually writing the code and implement the pipeline that transform product ideas into something that is real, that is concrete, that you can use, work and stuff like. And I believe that in a scale up, it's imperative to have very good software engineers. Why? Because you must be able to create code quickly, change code quickly, while at the same time ensuring that you are not accumulating too much technical debt. again, I believe that the main achievements of my first year in Jointly have been, I would say, three maybe. Like my team, first of all, like the team I built from scratch is one of the greatest joy in my job, and really, I always thank those guys for the job they're doing, the great job they're doing every day. Second point is starting to actually promote the product culture across the company. It's not an easy path, but I'm really grateful that founders have a very open mindset and are really understanding what this means. They're really taking time to actually study product culture, and they are understanding why cohesive and cross-functional way of doing things is a lot better than traditional hierarchical way. And third, fixing the main issue with the code base. We started fixing a lot of issues. We started reducing the technological debt and spreading the knowledge of our code base and product functionalities across the team. And also, we are reviewing the infrastructure and strengthening basically the foundation of our product to actually build new stuff and bring Jointly to a new level. If you are interested in some of the aspects and you want to go more in depth, feel free to actually get in touch with me. You can write me on LinkedIn, and we can definitely go more in depth if you're interested. I'm always available and keen to discuss this topic with other people. So thanks a lot for listening, and thanks again to Global CIO Forum for inviting me and giving me this chance.
We have another short message by Jayakumar Mohanachandran, the Chief Research Officer of CAS.
Hello, friends. Today I'm here to introduce you RAS, which is nothing other than Research as a Service. So I'm sure that you are all very familiar with CAS, which is CIO as a Service, and we were all very excited to be a part of that. So RAS is nothing other than Research Division of CAS. And what it does is we create content which is fueled by experts for the experts. So how we work, we have various different models. We work directly with end customers. We work with partners to find out what their end customers really need out of any particular product or service. We also work with major principals to analyze their market sentiments, the go-to-market strategy, feedback about any of the product or services, so on and so forth. And how it differentiates, it's because you and me are a part of that. We are the ones who will be driving this research rather than any generic crowd who will be doing or who will be a part of this research. So basically, there will be vertical heads. We'll have CIOs or technology leaders who is ranging from every single industry that we talk about. And we'll have project managers who will be coordinating these researches based on the requirements. And we'll have analysts who will be writing the white papers, preparing and collecting the data points and preparing the outputs and the reports based on the research, what we do. So that's something which is very, very exciting. And we look forward to have a complete experimental and simulated data collection model by using automated tools and processes by which our data collection will happen across different levels of the industry. We offer complimentary support for all our customers who come to RAS, and there will be a single point of contact for all the research or market strategies. We have a very focused approach. We have special interest groups that focused on each industry, and basically to ensure that the content what we create will be more precise. We also have a well-architected framework by which the industry standard research contents are created based on the customer needs that helps for immediate consumption. So that's it all about RAS. My dear friends, here we go, and welcome you all to RAS. Thank you so much.
It's time for the most awaited part of the event, the CIO 200 Awards, which celebrate and highlight IT leadership around the world. First up, let's look at our winners from the UK. We have our opening keynote speaker, winning in the legend category, Andrew Rains from Royal Papworth Hospital NHS Foundation Trust. Next, we have Belinda Finch from Free, winning also in the legend category. Next, we have Dean Garvey from Thames Water, winning in the legend category. Next, we have Frederick Bisberg from AXA Global Healthcare, also winning in the Legend category. Then we have Ilham Ismail from Inqilab Housing Association, also winning in the Legend category. Last up from UK, but definitely not the least, we have Saif Muhammad from Diligencia Group, winning in the Master category. Let's look at our winners from Italy now. The first winner in the leader category is our second speaker, Enrico Maria Sestari from Jointly to Welfare. Our second winner from Italy in the Legend category is Luca De Marchi from Bata. Our next winner from Turkey is Ahmed Hakan Goral from Boutique Rugs LLC, winning in the Master category. Big congratulations to all of the winners. On behalf of Global CIO Forum, I want to extend my gratitude to each participant, speaker, and attendee who made this event truly exceptional. The insights shared, the connections forged, and the ideas ignited will carry on. Let's carry forward the spirit of collaboration, learning, and transformation that defines the World CIO 200 community. Stay connected, stay curious, and stay committed to shaping the future of IT leadership. Until we meet again for the grand finale in Baku, thank you and farewell, friends.